use some form of Linux-based operating system?
Yes.
Yes. Awesome. Okay, well, we can learn a little bit more about some of these tonight. This is kind of like a definition that I just wrote down that this is how I understand it. An operating system is software that helps you run other software on your hardware. Anyway, these are just some of the different, I guess, operating system base lines that you can run. You know, you have your nice Penguin over here, Linux, and then you have Windows, Chrome OS, Mac, and then some BSDs. Anyway, if you're interested in using a different operating system, which I think is a very good and valuable thing to do, because you know, if you can learn how to use a different one, then you improve your computer literacy. And then you can tell others you can use a different operating system. And then if you ever run into Linux or something, then you can use that. But anyway, once you've decided you want to use something else, you look at some of the things on the left. Stability, user friendliness, control and configurability, transparency, hardware compatibility, security and privacy. And then you just evaluate how important some of those things are to you, or what you really want. Do you want something that's super intuitive and user friendly just out of the box? Do you want something that you have a lot of control over, that's very configurable? You know, that sort of thing. Obviously, you want something compatible with your hardware, because if it's not compatible, then you can't run it. But anyway, if you value some control and configurability, as well as transparency and security and privacy, I'd say Linux is definitely a very good option. These are some of the general Linux-based operating system parent branches. You have a lot of Debian-based operating system, a lot of Arch-based operating systems, some OpenSUSE. Is that how you pronounce it? SUSE? OpenSUSE, okay. Fedora, Gentoo, Slackware. But this is a tree showing all of the Linux, not all of them, a lot of Linux distros out there. So we zoom in. Maybe we can zoom out just a little bit. So starting at the top, you can see this is just a timeline in the 90s all the way to 2015 or so. So you have Slackware and some of its derivatives here. And then you have some random ones. And then you have another tree, Fedora, and some of its derivatives. And that's connected to Red Hat. Fedora is, could you say it's like a consumer version of Red Hat?
I think it's also kind of like the bleeding edge of Red Hat, because I think they do most of the dev work there, push out people to use, and they only put like the when stable, they put it into Red Hat. Basically, I think it's kind of the idea.
And then anyway, Red Hat's like a commercial sort of Linux operating system. And then here's FreeBSD. Some other random ones. And then, here's a big tree. Oh, here's Ubuntu. And Ubuntu-based operating systems. And then you go down here, now you have Knoppix. I don't know if I'm pronouncing these right. And then Debian, which Debian is like the father of a lot of operating systems. So it's been around a long time. There are lots of Debian-based operating systems. And then here's some OpenSUSE or OpenSUSE, OpenBSD. There might have been. Yeah, then you have Gentoo. Oh, and then we can't forget about this one, Arch. And yeah, so this is like a really big. I think this is actually like a really cool graphic showing how all the distributions relate. It's kind of hard to see because there's so many of them. But it's on DistroWatch.
I think it's on Wikipedia too.
Oh yeah, probably. Likely. So then some other helpful things to know is every sort of distribution that you choose is gonna have a package manager. So for Arch, it's Pacman. For Debian base, it's generally apt. And then you can also have like Snap and Flatpak, which those are. Yeah, though I don't know if I would really use them. Then you have Yum and DNF, and those are for Red Hat and Fedora operating system, and then Portage for Gen 2.
That's worth noting that these are not, it's not just the package manager that differs, it's also the repositories. The actual packages that you install are different or maintained by each distro independently, and the package manager tool used to install from those repos. So, for instance, Arch has huge repos and also has like a user repository where people can upload their own packages, and you can kind of use those at your own risk, but they're there for you and easy to integrate. Compared to Debian, where they have a single pretty good repo, but then if you want to use anything else, it's like if people publish them independently and you have to like kind of pull them in different places. So they're all kind of structured differently.
Yeah, so here, for an example of just using a package manager, if you haven't before, let's say we want to install a package. So I start with sudo because I need some more administrative power, and then
Control plus.
oh yeah, I probably should. And that would be very. Yeah, okay. And then Pacman, which is my package manager, and then -s, and let's say this one. So I put in my sudo password. It says, oh, here's the package, we can install it. And then you just click yes or press yes, and then it installs it. So you can install these and it works pretty well. And you use the command line, which might be kind of scary at first. It's not really scary. And it's actually quite useful because then you can run scripts, or let's say, like when I, just because of reasons, I reinstalled Arch this last weekend, and I wanted to make sure I had a lot of the same packages that I had previously installed. So I took a text file that I had exported previously, containing all the packages that I had installed, and then I just piped that into my Pacman package manager, and it installed all of them based off of the list. Whereas like Windows, I don't know if there's a great way to just do that. So that's kind of nice thing. I know that there's technically a Windows package manager like Winget or something like that, but it's not really used very much, and I don't know if there's much on there.
Winget is pretty good.
It is.
Yeah,
Okay.
same with chocolate.
Chocolatey, yeah.
I do like saying, oh, just wing it. It's just what I say, tell them to this all that.
Yeah, anyway, so that's a little bit about package managers. And then desktop environments and window features. These are going to be basically your front end for your install. So desktop environments are generally more fully featured and GUI based, or graphical based. But they can be a little bit more resource hungry. Whereas something like a tiling window manager, it's generally more minimalist and it uses less resources, but you have to configure things more manually a lot more. So if you're just starting out, I would say desktop environments are great. But if you want to just jump in at first and go with the tiling window manager, that's cool too.
It's got the power user approach.
Yeah. And the advantage of those is it's like a keyboard driven workflow. So if you like that, then that's kind of the thing for you. So some ways to install, you can virtualize or use virtualization software to run another operating system and install it and try it out. And I would say this is probably the safer option and the better option if you, especially if you haven't backed up your files recently, because This way you just install VirtualBox or basically VirtualBox is what I would recommend. And then you can install an operating system on your computer. You just need enough space. Let's say if you have 60 gigabytes of free space, you could install VirtualBox and have a Windows VM running or something like that. And so this is a safer way to run an operating system. And actually I could. So I use QEMU because I need LabVIEW and MATLAB and some stuff for my classes, but I don't want to install them on Linux or try to. So I just, make a virtual machine with Windows, and we'll see if this even works. And then look, wow, I have I have Windows on my computer. Yeah, inside Linux. So that's very, very handy to have. And I would recommend if you're just trying out some distros, you should start with that. If you want to try some out on bare metal, I would highly recommend using something like Ventoy on your flash drive, because then you can load multiple Linux ISO or just any operating system ISO file. Not any of really, there's a compatibility list, but most of the time it's going to be compatible. And so you can put it on Ventoy, and then you can boot off that, and you can have multiple different ISO files to choose from. Whereas in the past, you could only have one on your flash drive at each time, and that was just kind of inconvenient. Whereas with this, you can have a 32 gigabyte flash drive and have 5 to 10 different operating systems on that, and you can just try them all out. So I would highly recommend looking into that if you want to try to install on bare metal, but you should definitely back up first, because you don't want to lose your files if you break something, because we cannot guarantee that things won't be broken, just because things sometimes do break. Oh, look, it's my Windows. Wow. Anyway, I'm just gonna shut it down just because I don't really.
Why do you guys use Linux?
Configurability, privacy, security, kind of forces me to learn more about computers, and I like that. Those are really honestly the main reasons why I use it.
For me, well, various reasons. Mainly, it's open source, which means that the source code is fully public. People can modify it, make their own.
And that's why it's more. It can be more secure and private.
Because, I mean, with Windows, you have to trust that Microsoft has your best intentions in mind, which they've proven pretty regularly they don't. You have to trust that you're spying on you, or force you to install apps and that sort of thing. Like, basically, you take back control of your computer, all regard to things.
Since I'm interested in cybersecurity, a lot of the cybersecurity tools are designed for Linux, since that's what a lot of backend servers use. So just a good way to kind of get familiar with those tools.
I started using Linux because I was just so damn tired of Windows. I mean, first of all, I couldn't trust my computer, so like, I always ask the question of what's actually going on. The fact that I can't verify what's actually going on. When I press a button, it doesn't just go to dead null. Like that bothered me. And then also I had software that I needed to keep always running. And every like day or so, Windows would restart my computer, have to make me start all over again. I'm just one day I was like, I'm going.
Yeah.
Where's the update?
So you have to kind of have like it takes longer to back up your files if you have it and make sure everything's in order than to like install it and start using Linux, honestly.
At home, I have a few laptops that I've sort of all connected together into a really odd, gross system. So I plan on integrating that system through that weekend's marathon of. But I'm scared, but I'm happy, and
You got a support group here for you as well.
Yeah.
thank you. I started out doing web hosting by myself using a VPS, so I got experience through through a VPS. Then I decided around freshman year in college, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just leave windows behind, quick cold turkey, and do limits at a time. And then we're pretty much doing that ever since, but now my work is pulling me back, or has pulled me back to Windows a little bit.
I had a home server that I use Linux on all the machines. And then I switched over on this laptop for reasons everyone else has already said, but also just like control and simplicity.
Honestly, I got into it because a year ago, my friend just at me, or when he installed it on my laptop for me, and I had to spend a few months figuring it out, but I'm pretty happy with it now.
Yeah, that's good. What desktop environment or window manager?
I'm using KDE right now.
Okay. Nice. Awesome. So you want to use one?
Yeah, same friend forced me into a similar situation
Okay.
on my old laptop. I started off on Mint, and then Mint didn't work, and then he forced me onto Arch.
Just take this with a grain of salt. My opinion is Arch itself isn't that bad. It's worse if you jump straight in and just use like a window manager and not a desktop environment. Because then you have to configure a lot of the stuff yourself. If you want to use Ventoy, you just search Ventoy. And then you can go to their downloads page. Really, I would go to their GitHub. Another thing that you should do, it's best practice for anything like this, you should be trying to check sums just to make sure that what you're downloading and using is what the author was, sending out there. Anyway, so if you go to their GitHub page, you can like download the Windows zip file, open it up, and I think there should be like an exe in there or something like that. After you check it, or check some, just if you're following best practices, and then you take a flash drive, plug it in, and then you open that Ventoy exe, and then it just like you can format the flash drive, and then you just drag files into the flash drive, and then they have to be ISO files, and then it just works. So Ventoy is pretty simple and a very nice tool. And then VirtualBox. Yeah, you can just search VirtualBox.